Hey Epic, my name's Bobby. I'm one of the pastors here at the church, and for those of you who don't know me, I was actually the youth pastor back at Epic for about 8 years, way back in the day. So I might not know some of you, but anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing retreat. I hope it's gotten off to a great start. Chris asked me if I would make a video about some of the things, some of the giants I've seen God conquer in my life, especially as it relates to ministry and leadership here at the church. And so I wanted to take a little bit of time and do that with you. I became the youth pastor sometime back around in 2008 or 2009, and I'll be honest, I had no idea what I was doing when I got hired. I think I was around 24 years old, 25 years old. I had never led anything of the magnitude or scale like Epic, and on top of all that, the guy who came before me was so dynamic. I mean, he was he traveled the nation, would speak at conferences and stuff. He was great at graphic design and videos and funny and creative, and he was like a marketing genius, and I really am not a lot of those things. And so I remember getting the job, not being sure what to do, and honestly, not really sure who I was, and thinking to myself, well, if he was successful and he did it this way, I should be more like him. And so for like the first year and a half, everything I did was based on who he was. I was trying to be the guy that came before me. I was trying to think like he thought. I was trying to preach like he preached. I was trying to do what he did, and thinking to myself, if I could be more like him, then I'll be successful. The ironic thing is, for the first year and a half, man, I failed spectacularly. It was not pretty. It was pretty much a train wreck. And what it really came down to is I was trying to be him, not me. I was trying to be the person that God had called him to be, not the person that God was calling me to be. And I came to realize that I had some fears in my life that were functioning as giants, and that if I didn't deal with them, they were going to kill me. It was a fear of inadequacy, of feeling like I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know where to go or how to do it. It was the fear of comparison, thinking that I had to compare myself in my ministry to him or to somebody else. If I would be more like them, then I'd be successful. It was a fear of disappointment, of letting people down, of not being good enough. I mean, there were so many different fears that had really become giants in my life. And I was allowing these things to dictate who I was and how I lived. But when I brought those things to God, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in an instant, but one by one, God started releasing me from them. One by one, little by little, over time, God took those giants down and put them to death and set me free. For the first year and a half, I was someone, I was something I'm not. But after that, I really began to become free to be the person, to be the leader that God had created me to be. And that's not to say that I was perfect just the way that I was. I'm not perfect just the way that I am right now. Neither are you. None of us are. Being who we are isn't about being perfect. It's not about hiding behind our preferences or hiding behind our personalities and just saying, well, this is me, deal with it. No. Man, if you're perfect just the way you are, Jesus didn't need to die for you. Now, I wasn't perfect just the way I was then, and I'm not perfect now, but the thing is, when we acknowledge who we are, and we stop trying to be someone we're not, then God can really begin to start working in us and through us and on us. What I've come to see in my life and ministry is that God's plans and God's dreams for us are way too big for us to try to be someone we're not. God doesn't need you to be them. He's calling you to be you. Because He's got a dream and a plan that He's at work in your life, bringing about. And when we try to be someone else, we short circuit that vision. God's dream for your life is way too big for you to settle on being someone or something you're not. And so to kind of make that point, I wanted to shoot this video here in the stairwell because, yes, this is a stairwell, but for me, in many ways, this is where my life and ministry got started. Because about 20 years ago, this stairwell didn't exist as a stairwell. It was just an open room, and my Sunday school class met at the bottom. My 6th grade Sunday school class, when I was a 6th grader, we met in this room before it was even a stairwell. The second building didn't even really exist. The Epic didn't exist. And if you would have told me when I was this little itty bitty teeny tiny 6th grader meeting down in this room, eating donuts and learning about Jesus, that one day we'd have the epicenter, that one day I'd be a youth pastor, that one day I'd be a pastor at this church, I would have told you that you're crazy. Because that's the thing. Our dreams, our visions for our life are just too small. God's dream for you, God's dream for me, God's dream for us are bigger than anything we can think up on our own. So God doesn't need you to settle on being someone or something you're not. God doesn't need you to hide behind all those fears. He wants to remove them. He wants to put them down and set you free so that He can work freely through you. His dreams for you, His dreams for me are bigger than any of us can come up with on our own. So my hope and my prayer for you is that you'd find freedom this weekend, that you'd see the giants in your life come crashing down around you, that you'd be free to be you so that God can work freely in you and through you for the glory of God and the sake of the world. Have a great retreat. Take care.
Hello, Vintage. I hope you guys are having a great start to your weekend and good start to your retreat. I wish I could be there with you all, but I guess this is kind of the next best thing. So Chris asked me to share a little bit about how Epic has impacted my life, and I honestly don't even know where to start, truly, because Epic has had such a huge impact on me as a person and on my relationship and walk with God. Most of you guys know that I worked at Epic for about 4 years until last spring. By the way, I'm Taylor, Polly's twin, not Holly. Holly still works there. And before I worked at Epic, I actually went through Epic as a student. So starting when I was in 7th grade, which was the year after Epic opened, those were the glory days, guys. Just ask Phil about the diamond cutter. I went through Epic pretty much 7th grade, all through middle school, and then all the way through high school. And I stuck with it. And over that time, went to services and Bible studies, small groups, converges, service days, CFAT. I did high school internship, which is what is now called Student Servants. I did crew, which is what is now called Slack, and all of it was so huge in forming me as a person. But it wasn't just showing up to the events that was so huge for me. It was honestly, a lot of it was the leadership that was there at that time. The people who were on staff and volunteering at that time became like mentors for me. Bobby, Anna, Janine, Lori, Kelsey, all these people took the time to, one, to show up every week and truly be present, and to show me and the people who came what it looked like to pursue and love God. They were always there to hear out and answer any of my stupid, hard questions. I always knew I had someone I could go to ask for prayer, to talk to ask for advice about God or about life in general. And those were the people who challenged me, pushed me, saw potential in me when I didn't see anything in myself. They stuck with me when I felt like giving up. And I don't know if they know how much of an impact that had on my life. I mean, it was over those years and through that time that I discovered God. I mean, I discovered who He was and what it looked like to have a relationship with Him, and that changed me completely. I've told these people how much it's had an impact on me, but I don't think they really realize or ever will really realize how much it changed me as a person and formed me as a person. Not even just then, not even just middle school, high school Taylor, but still today. I've graduated from college, and there's still things that those people said or did that still stick with me and encourage me and form me today. God's not limited to any building or place or room, and I know that, but I have always felt like there's something really special about Epic, about that place. And I know you guys are in the loft right now, so don't hear me saying that God's not in that place too. God is there for sure. He's in every single space, but I've just always felt like there's something really special about the way that God shows up at Epic and through that ministry. And I remember talking to Janine about it one time, and she was saying how before Epic even opened, there were people who would go back there and pray over the dirt. I mean, there were people who would pray over the dirt that Epic would one day be built upon. And they prayed for that property and every single person who would enter that building. And then after Epic got built, there were people who walked through every room before students ever entered in and prayed over every person who would walk in that room. I don't think there's a square inch of Epic that's not prayed for. I don't know those people, and I don't think those people know me, but little did they know that I was going to walk into that building and walk out forever changed. I mean, there's no way that they could have known how much of an impact that their faithfulness and their prayers would have. Same with the leaders. I don't think there's any way that they could have known as they were showing up week in and week out how much of a lasting impact that was going to have on my life and the life of so many other students there. So I am praying that this weekend that you would look at whatever dirt is in your life that looks like it's absolutely nothing, and believe that something powerful could be built upon it. And I pray that you would show up in being a part of that, being a part of something so much bigger than yourself or your current struggle or your current obstacle. And I know, I am so confident that God wants to use you and your story in really big ways to have an impact that goes far beyond yourself or what you can see. So I'm praying for you guys and know that God will show up this weekend in really big ways, and I pray that you show up in big ways also.